All right, so once you got the basics down of the AC method, the next question becomes right away, well, how do I find the two numbers that I need to split this middle term right here? And again, what you're looking for, you're looking to split this middle term into two x terms whose coefficients obviously have to add to this 1x, but the coefficients also have to multiply to these a and c multiplication of 12, or in this case, negative 12. So the question becomes, how do I find those two numbers? Well, let's look more into that. All right, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to be negative 12 and add to 1. There's a really important way of attacking this. First of all, there's an infinite number of solutions to the numbers that add to 1. It's kind of hard to think of, but if you incorporate negative numbers, you can think of tons of different combinations that add to be positive 1. Negative 5 and positive 6 add to be 1. Negative 6 and positive 7 add to be negative 1. You can go on and on. Though importantly, there's a finite list of numbers that multiply to be negative 12, or specifically 12. So the quickest way here is to just create a factor table. This is always easiest because it allows us to write something down to look at and to think of other things in our head. Factor table is you always just start with 1 and 1 times the number itself, and just go by increments on the left-hand side and find all the factor pairs. 2 times 6, 3 times 4. And when you're writing this list, you can kind of stop and analyze the addition, but you also know that you're absolutely done with the multiplications once you repeat a number here on the left hand side that already appeared on the right hand side, and that will often occur faster than you think. So we don't need this last pairing is already shown by the pairing right above it, because 4 times 3 is the same thing as 3 times 4. Now I'm looking for two numbers that actually multiply to be negative 12, not positive 12, but they have to add to 1, or importantly, they add to a positive number. I'm going to give one of these numbers in these groups a negative, and what I'm going to do is always just give the negative to the smaller number, because I want the smaller number to be negative so that when they multiply or when they add together I get a positive. Quickly just analyzing these groups, those don't add to be 1, those don't add to be a positive 1, but these add to be a positive 1. And again, when you're adding a positive and negative, it's as if it's a subtraction. So in this case, negative 3 and 4 are the two numbers that we want to use to split that middle term. And just to show what we do with that, we're going to write 1x using the numbers negative 3 and 4. And here we've split that middle term into negative 3x and a positive 4. And then, of course, the final steps to the AC method is the factor by grouping. And so we'll take this factor a 3x out of the first, and factor a 2 out of the second group. Always then verifying that this is a common factor that can be factored out, and so our final expression is 2x minus 1 times 3x plus 2. So just in recap real fast, and the key part of this conversation being finding these numbers that I needed to split up this middle term. It's always a side game, so I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to be this negative 12 and add to be this positive 1. When doing that, always focus first on the multiplications and the factor pairs. Again, depending on the size of the number, this can be a larger list, obviously, but this is a way to always get to it. You can always find your pairing that you're looking for. And in this case, when you're focusing, you focus on the sign of the addition. If this is a negative multiplication, that has to mean that the bigger of the numbers is positive. And so when I go through this list, I give the negative to the smaller numbers. So when they're adding to be a positive value. And this 3 and the 4 were the ones that added to a positive 1.